Good morning, and welcome to the session on Edge of Customer Identity. We at Ping, we believe that what you cannot identify, you cannot secure, and without security, we are not free. Our vision is a borderless world secured through identity. And thank you for joining today. My name is Joseph Dhanapal. We're going to be talking about the next leap in customer identity. As we look today in the session, we're going to be covering three areas. One, with regards to how customer identity is a cornerstone for providing great customer experience and while also maintaining security. Two, we're going to be talking about how Passwordless addresses the need for experience and security. And third, the majority of our session is going to be with our friends Amit and Bis from 3 Island. They're going to be sharing how they went about this journey. Okay? To get started, in this increasing digital world, we have started to notice how identity has become the cornerstone. It is a critical piece of information that you require in your enterprise to be able to provide your customers a seamless, an intuitive, and a personalized experience to them. It's not the common run-of-the-mill experience, but you want it to be personalized to the customer's need, while at the same time maintaining security and trustworthiness of your service. When a customer comes and accesses your service, they want to feel like this is secure. This is not something that could be easily hacked. And as we get on that, as identity becomes more and more prominent, the Verizon 2022 report highlights that credentials have become the #1 attack vector with the bad actors. They are trying to get your credentials and my credentials. And the weakest link in this chain is us, the human element. We are the ones who are participating in 82% of the breach, not knowingly, most cases unknowingly, and being schemed to give away our credentials. So what's the problem? Passwords have become the problem. For those of us who were in the CISO panel earlier this morning, we heard Jim, Nicole, and Sean share how passwords have become this growing issue in our industry. And as you look at passwords, it is a poor security posture because we as humans, we can only store a limited amount of information, so we reuse our credentials. And the bad actors know that they can go and hack a lower level service where it's not as complex amount of security, and take your credentials and my credentials from those lower service and replay it at a higher level, say your banking or investment portfolio service, and get a lot more value out of it. It's a poor user experience. How many have gone through this password reset where it says, our policy states it needs to be at least 8 characters long. It needs to have a number. It needs to have an uppercase, a lowercase, a complex, a special character. And you are trying to figure out, how do I put it together? Do I use my dog's name? Do I use and for those of us who don't have pets, do I use my kid's name? And even after doing all of those, you cannot remember it. It is so complex. When in reality, an 8-character complex password, a bad actor can crack it down within 39 minutes, not even a whole hour. It's so easy to crack down. So it's a bad user experience when we are to put those complex passwords in our mind. And it translates to enterprise having to spend a lot of cost in supporting that user experience. Because it is so complicated, the users forget the password. 20 to 50% of support center calls are associated with password resets. And a study says that these calls could cost as much as $70 per call. So it could quickly add up for enterprise cost. So how do you address it? As you heard again in the CISO panel, Passwordless is a solution for it. And as you hear this term passwordless, it immediately makes it look like, oh my goodness, how do I make it happen? Passwords have become our security blanket, even though we are grown people. It has become security blanket. It cannot protect us, but gives us the safety, like, hey, I always know I have to type my user ID and password. Moving into passwordless is going to be a journey. And here are 4 proven steps by which your enterprise can get to passwordless experience for your users. Step 1, Provide an SSO, single sign-on capability. You eliminate the number of credentials within your enterprise that the users need to remember. You summarize it to a single credential, and you use that one to access all of your assets. Step 2, add an additional security layer, add on MFA, multi-factor authentication. This would prevent hackers who have their credentials from accessing those assets. Step 3, add risk-based authentication. Now, in our case, to give you a practical example for us at Ping, every day I would go to work and I would enter my credential once and do MFA authentication 5 or 6 times as I go to the various assets. On top of it, I had to go and update my password every quarter. Once we went to risk-based authentication, now I don't even enter my credential on a daily basis as long as I'm in the known environment, at work, using my office laptop, accessing the regular assets. The risk profiling tool automatically identifies that I'm in the known element. It lets me pass through. Now I had to only update my password once a year, and I don't have to do MFA on a regular basis. Now that I'm here in Identiverse conference, the risk tool automatically identified that I'm in a different element, so it asks me for MFA authentication, which makes my experience really easy. Now I'm focused on getting my job done, not figuring out like what Param was saying, what's my Google password? How do I get this printout done? It is such a pleasant experience for all of us. And step 4 is to get to this no password experience, passwordless. We get to this by implementing FIDO2-based authentication where a known user comes through a trusted device and you don't even have a password associated with credential. Now, all that is good when I say it as a slideware and provide it as a theory for you. But to talk about the practical implication on how 3Ireland went through this journey, help me welcome Amit and Bis to the stage. Amit and Bis, thank you for taking time to be part of today's session. To get started, would you do a quick intro of yourselves?
Thanks, Joseph. My name is Amit Lall. I'm from 3Ireland. I'm part of the EA team over there as a senior enterprise architect. As a team, we look after all our IT business systems from a strategy, roadmap, architecture, delivery perspective. And the applications I look after in my area are mostly digital and identity related. And Biz is here with us as well.
Thank you, Amit. Hello, everybody. Myself, Biswajit Barui. I'm Senior Program Manager in 3Ireland. I have around 20 years of experience in large-scale IT transformations, transition, strategic programs like 5G launch in 3Ireland. I'm also responsible as a program management activity team in our side to having a roadmap planning, strategic activities, which needs to be forecasted for, let's say, 2 to 3 years' time. I think that's in brief. Me?
Thank you, thank you. To get started, would you also introduce 3Ireland?
Yeah, sure, yeah. So we are Ireland's largest telco provider. We have products which is used by 65% of the population roughly. We're based in Dublin. We have fastest 5G coverage across the country and 4G everywhere. So to get to this position of number one, like there was a major acquisition of Telefonica to Ireland, and when we did that, that was a major, one of the biggest projects I've been involved in. We had 2 of everything. We have 2 networks. We have 2 IT systems, like two of everything: CRM, billing, SIAM, 2 of everything: apps, mobile apps, webs. So in total, we had around 300 applications, Joseph. So it was a major challenge.
Yeah. I spent 15 years of my career with telco here in Denver, so I can understand the complexity, not only of the systems, but also regulatory needs. The government's eyes are in it because of the utility nature of it. So as you guys were considering how to address this multiple applications that you have and how to make it seamless for your users, how did you approach the program of this magnitude?
Yeah, well, it is a very good question, I guess. As Amit says, it's a 300 plus applications. We are in the uphill task to do the things, okay? But from the day one, we had our vision to go to the passwordless in our SIAM platform with a SSO in all applications, right? But as you all know, like just doesn't come in a next day, right? So we had to having a very strategic planning, multi-year roadmap, right? And broadly, we kind of put our digital transformation into 2 phases, okay? So first we started with IT transformation, focusing that. In 2018, we kind of achieved our first brand new setup, on that. And then we migrated one of our first legacy applications set into this in 2019. And we finished our around, I think in the middle of the 2020 to complete our IT transformation journey with the second legacy application set to move to the new platform as well. So then we embarked on the SIAM transformation because that was critical for us to achieve our goal. So we started evaluating to get to a right partner for us, so who can actually provide a right solution, which will not only address our operation challenge in CIM platform, but also to look for the agility for the business, and we can get to our passwordless authentication offering to our end customer, right? So what we did, like, after the evaluations, we chose Ping Identity. And in last year, January, we started our journey with delivery on that. In May around, we finished our build and configuration. And in 2021, October, we launched the Ping Cloud platform. And then lately in last February, so we finished all application migration, migrating to the Ping platform with single ID SSO achieved, with risk-based applications, all those things, all good things installed there. So I think we're on the right path. We are
Very good.
progressing that.
Very good. Of course, as we look at your thought process, this is a well thought out program, and it is not for the faint of heart. But there is a proven path to get to success. So as you guys were considering this transformation program, what were the problems you were trying to solve?
So once we completed, consolidating our IT systems together in one, we started focusing on the SIAM component. The SIAM component, we were not able to do the transformation as part of the whole program, but we needed to do it. It was on old legacy, old tech. It was on-prem. It was behind on upgrades. It had some issues with operation and security challenges. So, like we were basically, we were not able to evolve at all in the SIAM domain until we, replace this or upgrade this.
And what were your expected end results? What were you expecting to have at the end of the transformation?
To be honest, the first result was to get stability and do the basics functionality for all of our base. So once we chose, the ultimate goal obviously has been, like Biz touched on, is to have a single ID, which we call 3ID as from a branding perspective. So that was the ultimate goal. But initially, we were just wanted to get everything, stable, basic stuff. When we started doing the discovery, though, we saw that, with the PingOne Cloud product we got, like there were so many things we could actually just use straight away, like social login, like MFA, like risk-based. So we brought all of that into the journey at that point immediately, so that gave us a lot of help in the bigger picture journey to go to passwordless. So after all of that, now we are in a stable state with software as a service on cloud managed by Ping. Adaptive security is there. We have changed the user experience to make it much simpler. We have a care tool for the point Joseph touched on, 20% calls. So we needed a care tool to manage and handle those calls. So we got really good features over there as well, and we are able to enhance overall reporting analytics as well.
Very good, very good. So Amit, you did say that when you went into a cloud service, that gave you a lot more flexibility in consuming capabilities that you'd not initially know you needed. But moving from a traditional on-prem to cloud, that's a big education step too. What were some of the challenges you faced, and how did you guys address it, both technical and non-technical?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, looking at technically, like, we had experience issues with stability and kind of upgradability, stability. So it wasn't a difficult decision when we saw the proposal for the cloud software as a service. So technically, it wasn't a difficult decision. It was easy to get to that. The challenge started when we started to talk about it with the wider business teams. The finance teams, so the teams, because the whole organization is kind of a CapEx driven, all the road mapping, budget forecasting, everything is based on that idea. Even after the transformation, all the tech we had was on-prem. So that was actually unforeseen challenge that took us a while to get over, but eventually we were able to, get some people to tweak some numbers and, make us try to move to this cloud,
Yes. So the key takeaway is not just answering technically, but also your financial modeling of how this is funded changes when you move to the cloud. Another factor that I've seen come into play in such major transformation is migration. That could be a big risk, high risk failure point in some of the major transformation. How did you guys go about addressing that?
Yeah, absolutely. From the senior exec perspective, they only had one requirement for the whole program: seamless migration. Okay. So they didn't care too much about everything else. They just don't want to be in the papers.
For the wrong reason.
Yeah, for the wrong reason. Sorry. Yeah. We had recently done a lot of migration work when we do the IT transformation. So we knew we were not going to ignore migration. We put migration at the center of the focus from the start. Even when we were evaluating vendors, looking at products, components, we had migration all the time. We spent a lot of time planning for migration, and so we used the data sync component from Ping, and it did give us the seamless migration. So, once we have that, the cut over, the go live, this made go live really easy. We moved the data over and then we moved the applications over. When it went live, some of those execs didn't even know this live, That's how smooth it was. So it was definitely, in their eyes, the biggest success point of the project.
Good. These are all interesting and exciting for technologists amongst us. What are the business outcomes based on this program?
Yeah, no, it was real great achievement. Okay, so business outcome was excellent. So to say, within 3 months we could actually see that our ticket volume going down by 55%, which is showing that we achieved operation stability straight away. Okay, so in parallel, as Amit touched upon that, and Joseph, he also mentioned that the contact volume for the end customer going to the contact center dropped as well by 15%. So it's very clearly indicative that end user could self-serve very well, no issues. As we implemented the simpler user journey, so that helped our overall registration volume to go up as well with the 15%. And our My3 app, which is a self-care app, having a download around 700K, which is 90% of our identity-based customer group.
Wow.
So which is great, and more importantly, I think our security business team was delighted to see this thing because they could now monitor the MFA being triggered, all the attack which is happening, they could monitor that one, so it was not a possibility at all in the whole platform. So it's great, but I think the final component, which is the most important component, that we achieved the single ID, which is across all an application as an SSO, which I think has laid the foundation to offer the passwordless authentication in future for our customers. So I think that's the largest success in this area.
Very good. So if we were to go back to the 4-step passwordless journey, it looks like you guys had SSO implemented. So step 1 checked. You added MFA, step 2 checked. You've added risk-based authentication, step 3 checked. So what's next, or what are you guys working on to evolve this customer journey, and what's going to be in the future?
So as you have it in the slide, so if we've seen this slide, so we've done this done this so far, but obviously the ultimate goal is to get to passwordless, we still have few things to do, and we have, apart from passwordless, we also want to do, we want to use the ID across multiple channels. So in a retail setup or in a CSR setup, that's where we want to go to next. Passwordless obviously is the ultimate aim. So I mean, like, all I can say now is that the user experience, the user and the security requirements keeps changing all the time. So, but with Ping platform, with being on the Ping platform, with the standard-based software as a service, upgrading automatically, we feel we have the right tech to go into the journey and complete our passwordless journey. Thanks.
Very good, very good. We have a few minutes left. Are there any questions from the audience? Oh, yes, please.
Is this authentication for a mobile app that manages the account, or is it authentication on top of the telecom network?
It's the mobile app, yeah. So it's basically, your authentication to check your, bills and pay your bills and all that on the app, on the web, both.
So no authentication on top of, say, telecom network yet?
No.
Other questions? Yes.
What was your experience with adoption of biometric and other authenticators amongst customers?
So
Making it a part of the service rather than leaving up to the customers to sign in and enroll?
yeah, so we are still in that phase at the moment. We have risk-based setup. We haven't turned it on high at the moment. It is at a low setting, and we are we're going through that process. We couldn't just turn it on high. Like we wanted to first put it in, put the systems in, get the platform stable. So we have the capability. So at the moment we are doing one-time SMS MFAs when the risk one flags an issue, So, but that's the idea, is to evolve that into, across all the application, use biometrics MFA rather than the SMS MFA, and then get to the passwordless. So yes, we still have a little bit to do.
Yes.
But like Joseph said, we can't. This is a journey.
That's right. Yes.
I was interested in your data migration. So what did that entail? Like, what are you migrating, and how did Ping help you?
So, I mean, we were focusing on the SIAM part of it, so we were only moving SIAM-related data, the passwords, obviously, username, passwords, profile information. So there's a component called data sync, Ping data sync component. So that component was the key for the migration, to be honest. So that component is able to connect to your old directory and the new directory. It takes the data from the old, changes it to the new model, and puts it in. So in one go, it moves everything across. So like in 2 nights or 3 nights, we were able to move everything across. And not just moving across, we transform the data into the new model on the new side, Did you have to keep up old systems for a while, like in sync, or did you do a cutover to the new user identity? We actually did, we moved the data over, so we had an old site and the new site, right? So all the systems are connected to the old directory and old system. So we moved the data over, we validated all the data, all good, right? And then and at the same time, we had set up the new registration login process on the new side, right? So only thing left at the cutover was the application SSO. So that's how we we did data first, and then we set the new site, and then we did the applications.
So you almost changed the engine without the user knowing that the
yes,
car is a different.
Yes, absolutely. So from a user perspective, like I said, seamless migration was the main thing, and they saw new pages, new features, social logins and stuff like that, but the username password same, so no difference for them.
Yeah, I see Angelica standing up, so I got to wrap it up. I know there are a lot more questions. Amit and Bis are going to be hanging out in the Ping booth, 1301. At the center there, so please come and talk to us. They'd be available for the lunch hour. In summary, here are the key 3 things I'd like to leave you with. Customer identity is a cornerstone for addressing your customer experience and security need. And Passwordless addresses both of those needs for your customer. And it is a journey. It might sound like a big mountain. There are proven ways to get you there. And with the right partner and right solution, you can achieve Passwordless for your users. Thank you guys for participating. Thank you, Amit and Bis, for being here with us. Thank you.